After the destruction of the Institute, the Minutemen that had accompanied the general of the Minutemen into the Institute, became the nucleus of the new Commonwealth military. They were organized into separate military units. In this series we will take an in-depth look at some of the more famous units of the Minutemen. In this episode we will look at the first 3 companies of the Minutemen, their histories, commanders, and battles that each were involved in. The first company consisted of Minutemen volunteers from all walks of life. Nicknamed Commonwealth, the unit was composed of Minutemen from all across the Commonwealth, not from any one particular settlement. The commander of the first was Preston Garvey. The general of the Minutemen commissioned Preston Garvey as a colonel of the Minutemen, and gave him command authority over all the Minutemen in his absence. Sometimes known as the last Minuteman due to his devotion to the cause, Garvey along with a few others, were instrumental in reorganizing and re-equipping the Minutemen. Garvey acquired tactical advice and support from the Brotherhood of Steel for the Gunner War. He then coordinated actions with the Brotherhood against the raider gangs of the Commonwealth and later planned out the successful campaign on Far Harbor. The 1st Minuteman fought in many of the large battles of these wars and gained a reputation as a reliable unit, completely loyal to their commander. Now they have followed their commander to the southern border of the Commonwealth, waiting for a possible super mutant invasion. Sometimes known as the Old Hands, many of the Minutemen in this unit had decades of experience fighting raiders and super mutants, from before the time of the Institute War. The second was commanded by Colonel Timothy Hollis. The Hollis family had been involved with the Minutemen since the time that they were formed. Officers from the Hollis family were well respected among all Minutemen. Hollis was something of a compromise candidate for commander of the second. Some Minuteman traditionalists were not certain about Preston Garvey leading the Minutemen, and wanted a more traditional officer in overall charge. Hollis was given command of the second to assure these traditionalists that sound leadership would be consulted in all major decisions. Although somewhat conventional in his tactics and command style, Hollis is a solid officer and has the respect of all his junior officers and non-coms. His command of the second during the Gunner and Raider Wars were lauded as the unit gained great honor from the various engagements that they took part in. After the Raider War, the second was turned into a reserve unit in order to provide the Minuteman reserves with a core of veteran troops to rally around, should it ever become necessary to activate the reserves. Known as the Knights, in honor of their first commander, Captain John Dancer. Dancer, a former Brotherhood paladin, reorganized and trained the new Minuteman forces using Brotherhood training methods. He introduced actual tactics to the Minuteman officer corps and imposed a level of professionalism and discipline previously unknown by the Minutemen. When the Gunner War broke out, the Minutemen were a totally rebuilt force that could stand against any organized unit in the wasteland. Dancer emphasized this even more in the company that he commanded. Equipment maintenance, discipline, and constant training ensured that the third would be ready for any situation no matter how perilous that situation might be. Under his command, the third faced off against gunners, super mutants, and raiders, and always came out victorious. The unit is particularly known for their actions in the hard-won battles of Mass Bay Medical, Trinity Tower, and for defending Diamond City from a horde of raiders. After rebuilding the 3rd, Dancer was transferred to the 13th Minuteman Company to reorganize that unit, but fell in battle during the Far Harbor intervention. The second commander of the 3rd, Captain James Sullivan, continued the tradition of excellence, and led the 3rd through several difficult battles in Far Harbor, against gunner mercenaries and religious extremists. In the next installment we will look at other famous Minuteman companies, including the 4th, 13th, and Minuteman Scout companies.